Hi, it's Brock Meyer back with you again with a few words of encouragement. I remember as a kid being in school and was wanting to make sure that I passed whatever class I was in. And the smartest move I could make was making sure I was sitting next to the smartest kid in the class. So I'm looking for Josh Carey, Sarah Stevenson. Where are they sitting so that I can strategically peek in on their paper? And if I could see the answers that they would put down, I was sure to pass this class. And so I would look over, see what answer they put. They put B, I'm putting B. They put C, you better believe I'm picking C because they're the smartest kids in the class. Yet at times, they didn't study either. And so we both show up thinking that we're going to nail this test because I'm peeking in on somebody else's paper, only to get an F, and I end up being mad at Sarah, or I'm mad at Josh because they led me down this path that I thought we were going together, and it ended up leading to a failure for me. Just wonder how many times we are peeking in on somebody else's paper when God's saying, keep your eyes on your own paper. There's a specific call that I have for you that's different than anybody else. You're not called to be like Josh. You're not called to be Sarah. God has a unique gift and call for you. So to double down, to drill down on what God has called and created you to do specifically. President Theodore Roosevelt, he said this. He said, comparison is the chief thief of joy. And it's amazing to me how many times I compare myself amongst ourselves and I never fully measure up. Never be as good looking as that guy. Never make as much money as that person. Never fully have those beautiful kids like that family does. And comparison always leaves me a little bit short. When God has said, there's something unique that I want you specifically to do. In 1 Samuel chapter 8, we see that the people of Israel come to the prophet Samuel and they say, you're getting old, man. It's time for you to pack it in. And we're looking at your sons to be the new leaders, and they don't have it. So what we would want to be is like everybody else. Every other nation has a king to lead them. And we want to be like everyone else. So pick for us a king to lead us. And Samuel says, whoa, wait a minute, y'all. If you get a king, he'll come in here and he will make you slaves. He'll take from you all of your cattle and your sheep, and he'll tax all of your grain. It's going to be a different day if you want to be like everybody else. It's going to lead you down a path that you don't always want to go. You need to double down and keep your eyes on your own paper here, and let's continue to walk this thing out that God has already scripted for you. Make sure you do this the way that God has called and created you. Israel, you're so unique. So be the beautiful, unique country that God has created you to be. They said, no, we don't want to be us. We want to be everybody else. And at that moment, it forever shifted the history and the trajectory of their lives. Here's a few things that I think are helpful whenever it comes to knowing who we are and what we're called to. First of all, we've got to have that vision. We've got to clarify the call. And having clarity on who I am and what I'm called to is absolute primary. To have clarity. Clarity is king. And when I can see clear, life gets really, really good. I get clarity with two P's. Number one is the presence. Whenever I'm in the presence of Jesus, he defines me. His voice is loud and clear over my life. I hear who I am. I hear what I'm called to do, rather than all the other voices around me. They get silenced out. They get suffocated in the loud voice of Jesus, marking me on who I am. I also need to determine and define the call. I need to put some definitions to it and get some borders around it and get really specific on who I am. And then another one I think is helpful is being able to handle rejection. And whenever I'm pushing and pursuing and getting after something, there might be times when I hear no from other people or there's resistance, and knowing how to process through that type of rejection is a big deal. To know the no. And sometimes the no might just be coming from a person. Maybe sometimes the no is coming from God. But when I've got even clarity on the no's and the yeses in my life, it gets really good. I enjoy camping and to camp out and to get a tent and the fire, and you got your little hoodie and your blanket, your cup of coffee, you're cooking food over the fire. It's so dreamy. The sun is setting. It starts to get a little chilly. It's just wonderful. We love that whole feel of camping. And what you can't afford to do is to set up camp in these places of rejection, where you've launched out and you had this big idea, you had this ambition that God was putting inside of your spirit, and you launched out and you heard a no from other people, or not everybody rallied around that purpose and passion that you had. And it created this disillusionment. It created kind of this disconnectedness. And so we camped out and we got cozy and comfortable in these places where I'm not even going to try anymore. I'm just going to stay safe. I'm going to stay cozy. I'm going to stay comfortable in a place. And I'll tell you, your calling is so much more important than your comfort. And you got to bust through. You got to go to another level that maybe God would want to take you to before. During COVID, I wear glasses and contacts. And I had called because I'm running out of contacts, but they're not doing any doctor's appointments for your eyes during COVID. And so I'm running out of contacts in June and July, and I called and they said, we cannot get you in until September. And I thought, oh my gosh, they told me no, but all I heard was, y'all like Starbucks. That's what I heard. So I showed up the next day with a $15 gift card to Starbucks, and I walked up to the front desk and I said, hey, I'm just here to set up my next eye doctor's appointment. I'm so grateful. I love what you guys are doing. Appreciate you. And I slide this gift card across. Wouldn't you know it, I had an eye appointment first thing Monday morning. I'll tell you, sometimes just taking just a carefree approach and saying, you know what? It wasn't rejection. It was just another Tuesday. It was just part of life. And Bob Goff, I listened to his podcast called Dream Big. And this is a Bob Goff quote. He's just so whimsical in his approach. He's like, I know that God has called me to it. It doesn't matter what Kevin or Stacy said. I know that God has called me to it. And so I'm hearing a yes. And so I'm going to continue to pursue this thing. So I just want to encourage our family here. Let's continue to go after everything that God has called us to do. Let's clarify that call. Let's determine and define that call. Let's get really, really good at hearing the voice of the Lord and saying, Jesus, how can I max out everything that you have called and created me to be? Let's not be like everybody else. Let's not pursue everybody else's dreams. Let's pursue what Jesus has put us on the planet for. And so I'm begging you, I'm pleading for you. Know who you are. Know what you are called to. And double down on that. Life is too short to live somebody else's life. Let's know what our life is about, and let's get after that. I'm cheering for you, family. Let's go get it this week. God bless.